If you're an e-commerce operator looking to implement a back-end software for your business, this video is for you. Look, you've got everybody from NetSuite down to SKU Vault saying that they're the best software for your business. The reason why it's so difficult to know if a software is going to be good for your business is this: e-commerce operations are not straightforward. For example, I could implement 2 supplement companies today that operate totally differently. Even though they're in the same category, their tech needs are totally different. So you can't just look to see if a software services your industry, you have to see if it actually services your operational archetype. I promise you, if you understand your operational archetype, you will feel way less pain when you implement a backend software. All right, so today I'm gonna go over a better way to categorize yourself so that you can make better backend tech decisions for your business. Okay guys, for our next archetype, we have our D2C 3PLs and fulfillment centers. Did you know that 70% of e-commerce companies outsource their fulfillment at an early age? That has given rise to this archetype right here, the direct-to-consumer 3PL. They're honestly a dime a dozen. Major concentration of 3PLs in Utah, in states like Texas, Kentucky, Tennessee. They're honestly all over the place, and there aren't many barriers of entry to start a 3PL. It actually is a very complex and low margin business model, and people underestimate it all the time. I have a lot of empathy for these founders. It's a very complex business to run. So here's how I see the operations of a direct-to-consumer 3PL evolve, and specifically where they start feeling pain in tech and what they should do to address it. Okay, let's dive into it. So on the y-axis, we have our complexity. So this is what makes a 3PL complex. So the specific things that lead to a meaningful amount of complexity. Then over here, you have your milestones. Like this is just over time and like the growth of, your daily shipments. So this is just the evolution, the milestones of your company over time. Ideally, your complexity is just like a perfect line. It just, as you grow, as you get more clients, you slowly get a little bit more complex, but it's actually not like that. And 3PLs experience a lot of pain at the beginning of their business. And there are a couple things that, as long as they understand what is making them complex, they can implement some tech pretty quickly to mitigate a lot of this pain. So let's get started. A 3PL, most of them start out in the garage. It's a very low barrier entry business. You can literally just take on a client. Like most 3PLs started out like, yeah, my buddy had an e-commerce company, or I had an e-commerce company, and I just started doing fulfillment out of my garage. I told them to send it over here. I just got a ShipStation account and I started fulfilling for them. And I was making like $2 a package or $2 a shipment. And that's how my 3PL started. So there's very low barrier to entry, and a lot of them start out like that. The complexity that I see in the garage stage is pretty straightforward. And they normally just start out with like 1 to 2 clients max. And it's just like a relatively small, profitable business for that stage. And so the complexity looks a bit like this. You get your first client, you start fulfilling for them, and that's kind of it. Like in this garage stage, you could be doing anything from 10 shipments a day all the way to 500 a day. I would say your peak in your garage is going to be like 500 shipments a day of a really small product. This next phase is where we see a lot of the complexity come in. So this, think like, at month 6 or something, or maybe after year 1. At any rate, this is when this is their client and their tech expansion phase. And this is where a lot of the pain comes in. So this is where you get a pretty steep increase in complexity. So they go to their first warehouse, which normally prompts their first tech experience. Before 3PLs implement tech, a lot of times this is kind of the tech stack that I see is ShipStation, Google Sheets, and QuickBooks. So they're just kind of jerry-rigging a ShipStation export to run custom billing out of QuickBooks. And it's not that bad at the beginning because they just have 1 to 2 clients. It's when you start scaling when all of that gets more complex, like the fulfillment and verifying everything. All of a sudden in this client and tech expansion, once you get to more than 3 customers, things start to matter. It's like, man, that manual billing process that I've been doing in QuickBooks and manual exports, like it's kind of taking some time now. It's like taking away time from the business. Or whenever a customer calls in, they're like, yo, how much do I have in stock of this product? After answering that multiple times a week with multiple clients, you're like, wow, I kind of like need an inventory portal for them to log into. Or it's like, hey, wow, it's at scale. I've actually hired a picker in my warehouse. He keeps shipping out the wrong stuff. Like, man, I kind of need something in this fulfillment process to help him pick and like pack the right thing. So this is where you start feeling pain. And it's because you've brought your garage tech stack into your client expansion phase. So this blue line right here, this is what ShipStation and QuickBooks services. It really just helps you get your first client and fulfill stuff. It does not service you having multiple clients with multiple carrier accounts. It doesn't service your billing. It doesn't service any of your service expansions that you offer, like kitting and bundling. So the pain starts coming in when you're now sending out 300 to 1,000 shipments per day and you have more than 3 customers. All of a sudden, these things start to become a big issue. So I have a lot of empathy for a 3PL at this stage because they've typically just hired out warehouse workers and they haven't seen like explosion in their business yet. Like they're growing a lot and they're growing fast and meaningfully, but they don't have enough to like implement a big warehouse system like Vericore, something that's going to cost $10,000 to implement and like $3,000 a month. It's like, man, I just need it to handle basic billing that's automated. I need it to sit on top of my existing tech, so meaning ShipStation and QuickBooks. I need it to handle my service expansion, my different carrier accounts, and I need an inventory portal, right? Maybe you need some more basic inventory functionality. Like, okay, maybe you at this point, you actually want pick and pack and you want QC verification. So the problem with that is tools can do that for 3PLs, but they're really expensive. And a 3PL is a low margin business. And at this point, like a year into business, it's really difficult to find a piece of tech that costs only like $500 to $1,000 a month, but will do all of these things that you need. It's easy to find something that's $200 a month, but it doesn't quite do everything you need and you can't get support and implementation. Or on the other end, it costs $5,000, $10,000 a month and implementation is going to cost $200,000. Well, you can't choose that. So that's where Luminous has found a little niche in 3PLs actually. So we service small to medium-sized 3PLs very well. So if you're a 3PL who say you have a ceiling of about like 5 to 10,000 shipments a day, meaning you're transitioning from garage to your tech expansion stage, your client expansion stage, and you don't foresee yourself becoming this massive 3PL that's doing 10,000 shipments a day, Luminous could be a great fit for you. We actually handle all of these things. We offer automated billing. We sit on top of your existing tech. So even if you have like 3 different ShipStation accounts you're using for 3 separate clients, we can actually sit on top of all 3 of those and aggregate all of your data into one. We offer basic pick and pack WMS QC verification that's lightweight, that it's not 17 steps, and we offer killer implementation. We also have an inventory portal as well that spins up automatically. Your clients can have a login and they can see their active orders and they can see what available inventory they have. So it's a great lightweight solution for a small to medium size 3PL. So what's cool about these 3PLs is as they evolve their fulfillment at scale, man, I've seen some really, really cool 3PLs as they scale. So once you get past this tech expansion phase and you really zero in on what you're doing, so you'll have a client type expansion typically later on in your future, like, okay, we're doing this really well. What other things can we add in our servicing? Like, okay, we're going to do basic, we're going to start taking on supplement brands. Awesome. And maybe you find out specific to the clients that you service, you build a piece of custom technology on top of your existing tech stack that really automates a lot of things. And you turn into a 3PL that has major differentiations on both the tech side and the service provisions and the cost. So yeah, direct to consumer 3PLs are some really cool businesses, very challenging on the tech side in this middle phase, in this client expansion, very easy to get started. That is how I see the evolution of 3PLs and fulfillment centers nowadays. And this is exactly where Luminous can come in and help you.